Some men are not bold online because they are confident, but rather because they are hidden. A lot of men think the internet does not count because they're anonymous and behind a screen and it feels less real. So they say things online they would never say face to face. But here's the problem: what you repeat, you rehearse. And if you keep rehearsing weird, reductive, and socially off behavior online, do not be surprised when confidence feels unnatural in real life. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you're going to understand why this happens, why it may be one reason why some men get mocked or rejected, and how to stop training the wrong pattern without giving up your privacy. And before we get deeper, if you get any value from these videos, like, subscribe, and consider supporting the show with a small donation on Patreon. And also download the King Shame Exit Kit below. This helps me create more long format videos that are shared publicly on YouTube. And the kit gives you a practical way to start breaking these patterns at the root. Alright, cool. Now let's get into it. I just want to make this clear. This is not a video against your privacy. Okay? I'm not saying you need to use your real name online. I'm not saying you need to show your face, and I'm not saying that you owe strangers from the internet your real identity. So, privacy is not the problem here. The real problem is what some men do with anonymity and digital distance. Because there's a difference between being private and being hidden. There's a difference between being discreet and being disrespectful. There's also a difference between protecting your identity and using a screen as permission to behave beneath your own standards. This is where things start going wrong. Some men make hidden profiles or they get bold because they think it's just online. And then they start leaving these same kind of comments over and over and over again. You know what I'm talking about, like copy-paste worship comments, body part only comments, overly intense comments, comments that just feel disconnected, awkward, invasive, or just strange, like an endless chain of the same emoji 100 times. And because it happens behind a screen, they think it stays there. But I'm going to break it to you. It does not stay there because repeated behavior is still rehearsal. So this is the whole point. What you repeat, you rehearse, even online. Every time you respond the same way, you are practicing a pattern of attention, of expression, of self-control, a pattern of relating. And the truth is, your deeper mind learns from that repetition. It learns from what you keep doing. It learns from what carries emotional charge, from what starts to feel familiar. So even if your logical mind says, this is not a big deal because it's just online, well, your subconscious mind, where your deeper systems are still picking the pattern. They are learning all the time because your subconscious mind never stops. It never pauses. It's activated even when you sleep. And it's learning, this is how we express attention. This is how we respond to women. And this is what we do when we feel in a certain way. And that is why online behavior still matters, because what you rehearse in private can become what feels automatic in public. And that is where a lot of men accidentally sabotage themselves. They just practice the wrong thing. They practice reduction instead of being present. They practice intensity instead of social awareness, and urge instead of self-command. And they practice protected boldness instead of real confidence. And then in real life, they wonder why things are so hard. With women, they wonder, why are they feeling so awkward? Why women pull back? why they get ignored, or why are they so ashamed, why this side of them seems to bring rejection instead of connection. Well, here's the truth that many of you need to hear. A lot of the mockery and rejection around liking feet and certain kinks, it's not just only about the interest of the fact that you like them. It's also about the behavior you have around it. And if you're not new to this channel, you already know this. And you already know that this is so important because some men keep saying, well, women reject me because they just do not understand. Or people mock me because they are judgmental. Or just society is making me feel weird. Well, yeah, yeah, sometimes that can be true. Indeed. But a lot of times, the rejection is not just about what you like. Sometimes it is about how you carry it. And if the way you express it is socially off, too intense, too fast, too reductive, too entitled, too disconnected from the woman as a full person, then of course it will create discomfort. And listen, that doesn't mean that you're bad or that you're doomed. It just means your behavior matters, all right? Approach matters, timing matters, boundaries matter, and your self command matters. Because when a man turns one body part into his whole way of relating, it stops feeling like grounded attraction and starts feeling like social distortion. And that is why some men still get mocked. Because other people have seen the worst version of how some men behave around this preference of you liking feet. That's the hard truth. Yeah, and I will say these hard truths to your face, even though you're not going to like it. This bad behavior some of you are showing makes the stigma worse. So if men really want less mockery, less rejection, less being seen as creepy or weird, then they do need to stop rehearsing this creepy, weird, and socially off behavior. And I'm not saying this to shame you, it's just logic. And I'm trying to say this as gently as possible because I know this is a painful subject. A lot of men in my comments are not just dealing with, liking feet. They are dealing with fear of rejection, fear of being seen as weird, fear of being turned down by women, fear of never being understood, of never having real intimacy, and having this side of themselves ruin their image as a man. So this is why this matters a lot. Because some men are suffering more than once. They're not just suffering from shame, they're also suffering from the behavior that shame can push them into. And those behaviors end up reinforcing the exact thing they are afraid of. So, do you understand now why this conversation is so important? All right. Now, let's make this pattern simple. Well, first of all, this kind of online behavior trains reduction. So if you keep interacting with women as if they are if they're just one body part, like your trigger, one narrow point of focus, your mind gets used to meeting fragments instead of people. And that doesn't help you. Because real life connection requires you to register the whole person, the whole woman, which includes her mood, her energy, her personality, her comfort levels, her boundaries, and her humanity. When you keep reducing women in private, you weaken your ability to stay connected to the full person in front of you. And women will always feel that. And then second, this trains an impulsive expression. Some men get used to turning every internal wave into an immediate output. It's something like, if I'm feeling it, if I'm feeling activated, I'm going to say it. But attraction is not permission. And if you keep training yourself to react instantly, real life situations become harder. A lot of men think they are becoming more expressive online, but often they're not becoming that. They're not becoming more bold. They're becoming just more protected. And protected boldness, it's not real confidence. Real confidence can hold itself in real time. Real confidence does not need hiding in order to exist. So if a man feels bold only because it is anonymous or only because it's just online, this is not the kind of boldness that actually helps him in real life with real women. Then this pattern, this online behavior also becomes emotional dumping. A lot of strange behavior is discharge. A discharge of boredom, loneliness, restlessness, and compulsive energy just looking for a place to go. And if you keep using women online as a place to unload inner pressure, you are training a pattern that makes real life connection harder, not easier. Then it lowers self respect because even when nobody else sees it, part of you still feels it. Part of you knows when your behavior is beneath you. It knows when you are repeating something awkward, needy, sloppy, or dehumanizing. And every time you act below your own standard, also your self image takes a hit. And then, of course, you're going to feel more split, more hidden, more ashamed. You're going to feel less natural and less solid. So, okay, now I want to talk about making a real shift because you know me, I don't like to just point to problems. I also like to help you guys find solutions that you can implement and replace the problems and the patterns with something better. And the winning move in this case is this. And I want you to listen real closely because this is so powerful. What if you use privacy to train that integrity? You're not using your privacy to train the compulsion or the fake boldness, the reduction or the awkward ritual. Integrity. What if your hidden profile becomes the place where you practice being clean in your energy? What if privacy becomes the place where you proved to yourself that even when you're unseen, you can still carry some standards? I think that will change everything for you because now the privacy is not a hiding place, but it will become a training ground. So think private but principled, unseen but aligned. Okay, unknown but still respectful. That is so powerful. And honestly, I'm so proud that I came up with that. So, here are some simple ways to start. All right. Well, first, pause. Before you feel the urge to make a comment, just pause. Just take one deep breath, okay? And then ask yourself, is this something that I really want to express? Is this real expression or is this discharge? That one question will stop a lot of bad behavior before it even starts. Then, second, ask the face to face question. Would I say this to a woman in real life, in this tone, in this way? Not because online and offline are the same, but because it reveals whether the comment has any dignity in it. If the answer is no, I would never make this comment to a woman's face, then do not post it. And third, Stop the body part only comments. And you do not need to deny what you're drawn to, okay? If you like feet, that's fine. You're going to still like feet, but you do not need to stop making that your only language. Say something human or say nothing. You don't always have to announce every single thought that you have. And then fourth, stop the copy paste praise. If the same comment could go under dozens of profiles unchanged, and I see this every day, it's probably not a genuine expression of admiration. It is a ritual. Rituals like that hollows out confidence instead of building it. And then five, do not comment while dysregulated. If you feel lonely, agitated, overly stimulated, or compulsive, just step away first, okay? Again, pause, move your body, drink a glass of water, take a walk, listen to a song, change your state. A lot of strange behavior disappears once the state passes. And that tells you everything. It was not your clearest truth, it was just a passing wave. If this is helping you see yourself more clearly, like the video, subscribe, and consider supporting the show with a small donation on Patreon. And download the King Shame Exit Kit below. If you get any value from these videos, that support helps me keep making public long-form content like this. Alright, now let me give you a few more. Remember, you're talking to a full person. Real life online is still a full person, is still a woman. So before you interact with a woman online, just remind yourself, this is a full human being. So that means she has a life, she has a story, she has a history. She also has a nervous system, she has preferences, she has boundaries, and things I know nothing about. That thought restores proportion and make it a personal code. Something like, I stay private, but I stay respectful. I don't use anonymity to act beneath myself. I don't use digital distance to excuse my bad behavior. I do not reduce women to fragments. I do not comment from compulsion. I don't rehearse online behavior that weakens me in real life. And also just practice saying less, all right? Not every thought needs expression. Not every feeling needs action. And I'm not saying you should repress yourself. That's not repression. That is just being mature. I'm not saying you should become fake. It's not about acting cold or denying what you are attracted to or pretending that you feel nothing. No, it's not about that. It is about learning that not every feeling has to become a behavior, all right? That is actually strength and steadiness. That is what self-command looks like, not absence of desire. Desire is actually something completely natural for a human being to have. But the ability to carry that desire without collapsing into it. That is what many men are actually hungry for. They don't just want attention or relief or just the next little hit. They want to feel solid. They want to feel calm. They want to feel natural when they're talking to a woman and at ease in themselves. They want to stop feeling split between what they do in private and how they want to show up in real life with real people, with women. And that is why this is so extremely important. Again, because your private rehearsal becomes public energy. It leaks into it. And yeah, a woman might never see your anonymous comments, but she will feel the result of them. So, guys, if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. It's not just anonymity. It is also the illusion that it is only online. And that combination can train patterns that you are going to carry into real life later. So now is a good time to start becoming aware of that and practice something worthy. Start practicing restraint, groundedness, respect. Start seeing women as full human beings. Practice staying private, sure, but without being distorted, without becoming distorted. Practice being the same man in the dark that you hope to be in the light. That is how you build confidence. So absolutely, if you want to stay private, I'm all for it. Stay private, but do not stay sloppy. Do not stay fragmented. Do not keep practicing the version of yourself that makes real life connection a lot harder than it should. Because that is the version that keeps feeding that rejection, the mockery, and the misunderstanding so many men are already suffering from. And you deserve better than that. And you know what? The people who have this foot preference deserve better than that too. This is about becoming more aligned and about becoming accountable for this change. Because this change starts at the individual level. It's about becoming more conscious and more dignified, more capable of carrying your own energy well. The change starts with you. And once you do that, things will start to change quietly, maybe in the society as well. Once you will feel calmer, and more men feel calmer and less split, less needy, less ashamed, maybe this whole thing is not going to have such a bad name. And that is the rebuild I want for you. That is the winning move. Not how much I can get away with it, but what am I training every time I repeat this? That is a good question. And that's going to change everything if you start actually applying it. Cool? All right, now if this video spoke to something real in you, like, subscribe, and if you get any value from these videos, consider supporting the show with a small donation on Patreon. That helps me create more long format videos that are shared publicly here on YouTube. And if you are ready to start breaking these patterns down at the root, download the King Shame Exit Kit below and use this as your turning point, not to become less of yourself, but to become more grounded, more self-respecting, and more in command of the man you are becoming. If you watched until now, you guys are champs. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.